the middle of our meetings, what we need to do, unfinished business, new business, programs, training, bring people to your post. If you want a bigger show meeting at your General Assembly, bring programs, bring visitors, educate your membership, whether it's, there's a multitude of things out there that you actually can bring them in to actually help your membership, okay? Educate them. Everybody loves free food. Feed them, right? So obviously we have the closing of the meeting. One thing I failed to mention, when I was post commander, we weren't running our meetings properly prior to me becoming post commander. But I did. When I became post commander, I went through just like we did today. But I always failed to do something. And I failed to do the preamble of the Constitution. I did. My membership didn't know what the preamble of the Constitution was. They weren't doing it. So I tried to get it in the right direction, but now I will tell you that is one area that I failed as a post commander. Because the preamble of the Constitution is so important for us to stay focused, right, on our mission. So learn your preamble of your Constitution. Learn it forwards, backwards. If you don't know it by heart, it's on the back of your membership card, okay? It's always with you. So obviously, path to success. Post commanders that are successful generally become successful district officers, district commanders, all the way up to department level and even national level, or even in your personal lives. Think of it. If you're successful as a post commander, you're going to be successful wherever you go. It all starts at the post level, right? It starts at the membership level. They're our most important key people. You guys will love this one. Reality. You can't do it all. We think we can. We have grand plans, right? I'm going to come in, I'm going to do this, so on and so forth. Step back, remove yourself, pay attention to what's going on. Delegate. Another thing that I have an issue with as a post commander. I'm not perfect. I delegated, they didn't do it, so what did I do? I picked up the responsibility. Why? Because if it didn't get done, it made our posts look bad. Hold people accountable to their positions. Hold them accountable. Why are they there? Believe in yourself. Mentor. We've heard that a ton. Mentor your replacements. You're not going to be here forever. I have a post that they're not mentoring a replacement, and they think they're just going to close the doors. Mentor your replacements. Find them. They're there. Before we go to any questions, who here, I know the majority of you, I'm going to call in some post commanders, and I want you to do one thing for me. If I missed something that was very important that made a difference in your term as a post commander that you would like to share to the group, I'm going to ask you to please stand and share with the group something important that you learned as a post commander, or that maybe you didn't learn and you would like to learn about. I'm going to start with Debbie.
Make it good then.
Probably the deficit I had was I did not know enough about the Legion in general. When I took over as commander, I became commander sort of as a default, i.e. no one else was going to do it. So I jumped in there, and as Lena said, the first thing I did was went to resources on the computer, and I downloaded Post Commander's Guide, Manual of Zero wonderful, wonderful document. You can find so much information in there. She addressed the uniform. Okay, I'll never forget the first time I went to convention. I went down there to attend the writers meeting. So I've got my writer's vest on, I've got my white shirt on, I've got my black pants on, I've got my writer's cap on, and I go walking into the General Assembly. Master at Arms says, "Where are you going, son?" I said, "I'm going to go to my seat. I'm going to find my delegation. I'm going to sit with them." He goes, "You need to be in uniform." I said, "Why am I in uniform?" He goes, you need to have a Legion hat on." I said, "Well, I do right here." He goes, "No, that's not Legion hat." I said, "Absolutely it is. I bought it from Emblem Sales. It is. It's a Legion hat." But he educated me. This is the Garrison cover. Is the only official Legion cover that's authorized at meetings. I went from being chest out, feeling excellent. So knowledge is power.
Thank you. Miss Kendrick.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I was basically in the same position you were. Nobody else would take the position, and my past commander convinced me I could do it. So it was very difficult in the beginning because one of the comments I saw out there was, "Be confident." Well, I wasn't that confident because I felt like there were a lot of people there who didn't think I should be the commander, and I let that influence me where I should not have been. But I got over it pretty quick, and I don't have that issue anymore, that's for sure. I think that the hardest thing I still haven't accomplished, and I'm still working on, is how to get people to come to the meetings. We have so few members that show up for the meetings. Oh, they'll come out for the canteen, they'll come out for, 4th of July, they'll come out. They do not come to the meetings. I have not accomplished that goal yet, is to get in those seats filled. And if anybody's got any advice, I would love to hear it. Because that's one thing I have not accomplished yet. So, but enjoy yourselves at command, especially new commanders. Enjoy yourselves. It can be a real privilege and honor to be a commander.
Thank you. Let's see. Milton. You're looking behind? Milton? He is. And there's no one behind him.
Yeah. Let's see. I got into being post commander. I went from being, wasn't even a board member, I went from being just a member to being post chaplain. And then like 9 months later, I made a mistake saying yes when somebody asked me if I wanted to be the post commander. Because Lena had been the post commander for 3 years, I think.
Yes.
And to be honest, you were burned out.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And 2 weeks after I was elected, Post 9 burned down. And we went through the process, found a new location, jumped through a bunch of hoops, finally got our liquor license after 3 years. So it's been a challenge. In fact, to be honest with you, because of all of those challenges and all the things we jumped to, I really didn't start learning what the job of post commander was until 2 years ago. And then I started getting involved and finding out about the programs. I did it exactly backwards from the way you should do it. You should learn what the programs are. You should learn how to operate to do a meeting. You should learn how to do an agenda. You should learn how all these things work. That's why we do this. And I learned it backwards because we were in emergency mode for the better part of 3 years. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. But it's you don't have emergency mode there, buddy. This is the incoming commander, for those of you who don't know. But it's the biggest thing is think things through, have patience. Have patience. Gather your information before you make a decision, before a decision is made. And membership is always the final say. And that took me a long time to learn it. And once I did learn it, I think Post 9 functions a lot better than when we were going
I'm leaving after this year. It'll be my third year. Couple of things. I think all this is really good stuff. It's really important stuff. You also have to remember you run a business. Okay, there are all those intangibles out there that you don't mention because they have nothing to do with the leases. You've got to file with some bids. You've got to maintain your licenses. You've got to know when these things come on. If you have an amusement license, you've got to keep these things renewed. No one tells you this stuff. But I promise you, especially as a new commander, that stuff is due in September. You're going to come in July, and guess what, folks? You better hit the ground running because that needs to be done, and no one tells you that, and all of a sudden you start finding this stuff out there. So you need to know what licenses you have, when those things need to be done, where they're located in your building, and you need to literally start that process right off the get-go. That's one thing, because it is a business. The post is a business. The other thing I throw out, just from my perspective, that I think has helped us at 88 is every year when the new officers came on board, when we got together as a group, starting with my first year as commander, we had to get together at my house, threw some stuff on a grill, things like that, and set the vision for the next year. So that everyone knew what I wanted to achieve. Everyone knew what my expectations were of them and their job. And so later, if you didn't do it, I promise you weren't going to like finding out that we had this conversation already. Because it is my job as commander to get it done. And if you don't do it, I'll do it. But you're not going to be happy when I come back and you explain to me why you didn't do it. Because you ran for that job, you wanted that job, you should hold them accountable for doing that job. But if they don't understand, it's your job to educate them. That's the point of getting together. So those are the only two things I throw out.
Thank you. Last one, Carolyn.
So, just to make sure I understand your question was there anything under our command that you could help us with differently?
So what I'm asking, what have you learned as a post commander that you would want, that you don't think others may know?
Oh, gosh. Well, that's very long.
Great.
So, I mean, same as everyone else, thrown into a position I didn't really know or understand, but wanted to make sure we filled with what. And I actually think that one of the most important things that I've learned in the last 4 years, I kind of learned on my own, is basically leadership. So rules are good, the agenda is good. Those things are on paper, they're accessible to know and understand. But something that isn't in any of our manuals or any of our books is how to do any of that. How do you get the people to come in and volunteer? How do you get people to do what you need to do? And the group of officers that we have now that show up every day are willing to do whatever it takes. But that's a small set of people. And I just heard everyone kind of say the same thing, is getting people to show up. But I feel like it would be very beneficial if there was like recommended leadership books to read. I mean, I've probably read plenty in the last 2 years just because I need to know how to do it. So there's what you need to do. There's the whole list of check off this and this for the licenses and the agenda and the meetings and the reports and the ceremonies, all on the list you check and find. What you cannot find is how to execute all of this stuff.
How to be a leader, right? How to actually be a leader.
How to be the leader. How to get people to do what needs to be done is the how. I think we talked about this when the department commander was there too. I think it would just be really great how to run the business, not just check the box, but how do you do this? How do you manage all this stuff? Because anyone can be a commander. There aren't any qualifications. There's no qualifications. And if y'all do the history of all your commanders, you can see that not everyone's really qualified to fully run this. So
true.
If I were to say something missing that I could offer, I mean, I have a full list of books that were very helpful. I still don't have it right out. I did 4 journals and 1 in 5. They learned stuff last week about politics. So, anyway, still learning, but those are the ones I think would be really great. Well, understand, especially for people who just pick up the government. Judge, I heard several people just in this room say that they just had to cut it from government.
Thank you.
But also, anytime I've ever called Lena, Joe, or Mike, they're there. So we do have good support and I appreciate that. So any questions, any this, they will.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that is, I'm going to close with this. If there's no other questions for me at this time, we have other post commanders that are here. We have post 197's commander here. Obviously, Mike, post 37. Am I missing anybody? I don't think I am. No? Hold on. Okay. So network after this. Don't just rush to get out of here. Network, talk to each other. Yes, ma'am?
Is the Roberts Rule of Order the same as the House Rules?
No. And we can talk offline for that, for time's sake. With that being said, understand this. Post commanders, you're not in this alone. Your district officers are here not to shake their finger at you, not to tell you how you need to be doing things. We're here to support you. If you're successful, we're successful as district officers. If you're not successful, we're not successful. So do not get intimidated when we walk in with our cover because it's white and blue, or do not get, intimidated when Jim walks in with his white cover. We're all here to help. We're all brothers and sisters. Are there any questions for me?
Any consolation, if you look at your post operations manual, I maybe got lucky and I found it when I first became commander. You're supposed to transition, guys. I don't know if you know that or not. The post operation manual actually tells you that prior to you even raising your hand, you're supposed to set up a meeting with all the incoming officers. That's what Jerry was talking about. You sit down and tell them what you expect, what your goal is. You're supposed to have a goal. And if you don't, then say, we're going to do it. And then I transitioned for 3 weeks. I picked a day of the week, my incoming officers, and that were new and they got going, we sat once a week for 3 weeks and we went over. When we went to the bank, we sat there and did the paperwork together. You're supposed to transition. That will help you a lot. So you're not going, they forgot to tell me. You transition. Transition. Use it. Use that time. Start from there.
So you are supposed to transition, and that was funny, right? Post commander, I walk in, the old post commander's packing his stuff up, and he's walking out that door, and I'm like, whoa, 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 isn't there like a turnover? Like, we are all in the military of some sort, right? Like, aren't we going to go through a turnover? Oh, here it is. Everything's right here. Got it. With that being said, any further questions? Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you guys again for taking time out of your week.
Thank you, Commander. Thank you, Commander. Next, I want to ask Nancy Center from Post 283 to come up and talk to us about Adjutant. We're kind of doing about 45 and 45, so after Nancy's done, we'll take a quick break just so everybody can take care of their business, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up. So, Nancy.
And it'll be very short on you.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Like I said, my name is Nancy Center. I'm the adjutant of Post 283. I've been in the adjutant there since 2013. My qualifications to join the Legion was through the United States Navy Seabees during the Grenada. However, I grew up in the Legion family home. My father was a past commander, and the reason he had so many children was he could have his own little army force to go to the Legion whenever he was out there doing work. So, Legion is in my family. Well, but it's true. I've actually been adjutant here and worked with three distinct commanders for norm style. As new post commanders going in, one of the things we do before you don't have an adjutant who is transitioning with you that has experience, that's one of the keys you need to look at when selecting your adjutant, because they are going to have to work with very different personalities. One of the things I like that is actually in the adjutant's manual, and all the manuals that I referenced today, you can find these all online, so I didn't print any of them out. They're all available. But one of the things that I like is that the job of the adjutant is actually being called religions, because as an adjutant, you're dealing with all your officers, not just, although you answer to the post commander of the force, you know, you're still the go-to person, at least I am at my post. First vice isn't there, the staff commander's not there, the auxiliary president is not there. They come and get me. How do you fill out this application? What do you need? So you kind of have to not only be familiar with the post adjutant position, but build those relationships with the members of your other units as well, within your post. That's one thing Lena was talking about, some challenges that in our post, and it wasn't necessarily who the commander was at the time, but the challenges of working within the family units. One of the things that I also wanted to point out when Lena was doing her commander presentation, you notice one of the things that the reference material is the adjutant's manual. And I do want to recommend, along with your adjutant's manual, the new adjutant's manual, look at the post-operation manual, because that's also going to give you important dates throughout the years. And we also talked about the fact that although we're winding down one term and we're moving into a new term, and we have to hit this new term running. And there are forms and paperwork even to make sure that the ingoing and the outgoing and incoming officers get prepared for when we go to convention. The adjutant's job is to make sure that those documents are prepared and they get submitted timely. We all get the end of the year reports. We all, it's like most of us survived CPR. CPR was a challenge and a half this year. But part of that whole package that comes in along with your CPR documents are these new post officer reports. And you'll see that one of the things that I just learned, and again, I've been doing this since 2013, this post information and officer report is actually signed by the incoming post commander and the incoming adjutant. And I didn't realize that because I'm moving away from the adjutant position this term coming out. I've just always been the one signing all of the pieces of information, so we all learn something new. You know, it's always, I was really surprised, because again, like I said, I was the one that was always just signing documents as the post adjutant. Another report that's really important, especially if you plan to go to convention, and I say this because it's happened to me on more than one occasion. The certification of service record for the post officers that are coming in. This has to be locked in at the department prior to convention. Strongly recommend you take a picture of this. We all have smartphones. Take a picture of this and have it on your phone when you walk up to the registration, because even though you may have mailed it, they may not have marked it as received. And you don't walk up to the registration and that's it. So get your packages in your cart because we don't have it. Really, if you have a smartphone, take a picture of this. You don't need to register. one of those people that are sitting at the table trying to recreate one really fast. And in closing, I just wanted to add, what I said, I'm not going to regurgitate the Adjutant training manual, and a lot of my job and a lot of the training I got has just been over time. By like we were talking about earlier, just sitting, watching, listening. If there was a need, if there was, something didn't get done, it was, okay, show me how to do it, I'll get it out for you. And really, that's where a lot of my experience comes from. It's just what fire do we have today and how can we put it out? And that's, it's not just taking notes, it's just not making minutes. It's a lot more than that. It's being the hub for your commander and your officers and being part of that team. And all taking a piece of the giant elephant that we call running the American Legion Post and cutting it out. Everyone taking a small piece of it and getting the job done. So with that, I thank you for your patience and your time. And if I can answer any questions, I will. That's
So, let's take a 15-minute break.